Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Andrew Douglas, and there is a novel I want to tell you about that just was released this week. And this is about Memphis. And we know that Memphis has an incredible history. It has so many different things that makes it great. And this novel takes place here, and it is, by all accounts, another bestseller for Ace Atkins. He has had 13 novels. He's a New York Times bestseller, and he is joining us right now on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Ace, it's a pleasure to talk with you. Tell me about your latest novel. This is fantastic.
Yeah, and Andrew, probably telling a little bit about my age. It's actually my 30th book.
Oh my gosh.
30th. I've been in this business for quite some time. I live in Oxford, but I really feel like Memphis is my home city. You know, this is the place where I do a lot of business. I love eating here. I love hanging out here. I feel like it's my second home. And this book is really, Don't Let the Devil Ride, a celebration of all things Memphis. And it's not just a cursory gloss over when some people set things in Memphis where I mention barbecue and Beale Street, that kind of stuff. It's a full out, most of it's set, a lot of it's set in Central Gardens, part of it in Orange Mound. It's all over the place. It's a very diverse book.
That's fantastic. My mistake, 30 novels. That's unbelievable. Congratulations on all of your success.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about, I've heard you talk about it. The title is Don't Let the Devil Ride. Tell me where that title came from and just a little snippet of the book.
Well, we had such a hard time with the title. So it's a crime thriller. There's got a lot of action and comedy and that kind of thing. But boy, did we have a tough time with the title. The original title was called Suspicious Minds. And somebody in the marketing department thought, well, I don't know if that sounds Memphis enough. But to me, it sounded very, very Memphis. But we ended up getting what I think is even a better title. Don't Let the Devil Ride is from a classic gospel song. And I thought, to me, it really sounds like Memphis.
It sounds amazing, and so brief. And you mentioned it takes place in Central Gardens.
Yeah.
What else can you tell our audience?
Well, it's about a woman. It starts off. It's a very varied group of characters. It's not just about one person. It's told through the viewpoints of many different characters. But there's a woman named Addison McKellar who lives in a very stately home in Central Gardens. She has two kids. One of them goes to Presbyterian day school. The daughter goes to Hutch. They are members of the Memphis Country Club. I'm sure your viewers will know exactly the people I know about.
Oh, yeah.
And the husband, Dean McKellar, ends up going on a business trip to London, and he's gone 3, 4, 5 days, then a week. And Addison McKellar back home doesn't hear from him. She tries to text him. She tries to reach out to the hotel. Cannot get any answers. Cannot get any answers from his personal assistant. So she ends up driving from Central Gardens downtown, where he's had his office for years, in the Cotton Exchange building, goes up to the 3rd floor, and the building or the office is now being occupied by a interior design company. And so they don't know who Dean McKellar is. They've never heard of this Dean McKellar construction. So she's left flummoxed, frustrated, wanting to get answers of not only concerned about her husband, but who is my husband?
I love it. I love it. It sounds great. I can't wait to read it. You have lived in Oxford, Mississippi now for the better part of 2 decades. Is that right?
It doesn't seem like it, but yeah. I've been there for almost 25 years. And,
oh, wow.
And again, Memphis is, Oxford is my hometown, but Memphis is my home city.
I got you. I got you. So tell me a little bit about yourself. I read that you were originally, and this is going, I guess, with the novel here, you were a crime beat reporter back in the day. Tell me about that.
I was, and I think that was perfect training for me to really write a crime novel. I lived in Tampa. I worked for the Tampa Tribune. I worked briefly for the St. Petersburg Times, and I covered the police department, the sheriff's office. I covered homicides and kidnappings. In fact, it's a long story, but that's one way I met my wife. She was actually a rival reporter at another newspaper, and so through that, I knew ultimately I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to write novels. I wanted to write crime novels. I loved Elmore Leonard and Robert Parker, and even going back to like John Grisham and The Firm, and that's ultimately what I wanted to do. But being a journalist not only helped me with the authenticity of the book, but also working with editors, getting better at what you do, and it was a very formative time for me.
It sounds like it. And then, and from my understanding, you started writing full time at the age of 30.
Yeah.
Tell me what that was like for all those aspiring authors out there that want to write a book. How do you make that transition from a full-time job doing something completely different to actually writing and getting paid enough to make it full-time?
Well, I think some people have a misconception of what an author does. And when I first started, 30 years ago, being published, people I think understood it a little bit better, which was, you're working with a major company in New York, you're working with a major publisher, they're paying you to produce these books, and you're going out on book tour, and it's very exciting. And now in the digital age, I think it maybe lessened a little bit what an author is. I'm an old school author. I'm fortunate enough to work with HarperCollins, one of the largest publishers in the country. But I don't even tell people on the plane that I'm an author, because inevitably somebody will say, well, so is my uncle. He put something out. And I said, well, they uploaded a book. That's not publishing a book. But it's a great career. I love it. I don't know anything else that I would do. The industry that I came from, unfortunately, is getting smaller and smaller. But writing books, writing crime books, writing about a place like the city of Memphis and bringing these characters alive, it's just so much fun.
And a lot of your fans, Ace, might not know that you had this background in Auburn football, and I mean,
I can't escape it.
I mean, you played, on the defensive line, right? I mean, for Auburn, for the Auburn Tigers,
yeah.
And you were part of that undefeated season that, due to suspension, you couldn't really play at a bowl game, but. Certainly,
you had to bring up the suspension.
well,
that's why I don't have a national championship ring on right now.
Right,
yeah.
right. But how did that team concept, having played a part of big time college football, how did that instill and maybe help your professional career as an author grow?
I didn't think that much about it when I was doing it. And, I also would always hear things about football teaching you life lessons and making you work harder. And I wasn't really sure if that was the case. But as an older person now we're looking at 30 years on since I played football. And trust me, my joints know exactly it's been 30 years ago. Yeah, I think it's working every day. It's working towards a goal. It's trying to get better. It's trying to write another book that tops the next one. It's always on to the next season, which is your next novel. So yeah, I think I took something from it.
What would be your writing style that you would give someone who, we have thousands of people that watch us here on the digital desk, that someone is hearing about you for the first time. They're interested in this book. It's set in Memphis, Central Gardens. What would you? How would you compare your style of writing?
I think I come from very old school kind of writing style from Dashiell Hammett and Raymond Chandler. One of my good friends, and also a hero of mine was Elmore Leonard. So if you've seen movies like Get Shorty and Out of Sight, crime movies with a little bit of comedy in them, a lot of laughs, and it's hard when I explain a story like Addison that her husband is missing. This is not a run and gasp kind of book. She's not even really that upset by it other than just being lied to. And it's equally the story about a guy named Porter Hayes, who is a legend in the city of Memphis. This is a guy that has had an office down on 2nd and Madison, since 1971, and is a hero in the black community. He was a good friend, a karate partner of Elvis Presley. So the Memphis story runs deep. But yeah, I mean, if you like, Elmore Leonard, John Grisham, Southern novels, Greg Iles, but certainly if you want to come in and have some laughs, and if you know the city of Memphis, I think you're going to get even more out of it.
All right, Ace Atkins, Mid-Southerner, New York Times bestseller, author of some 30-plus novels. The latest, Don't Let the Devil Ride. It is out this week. Anything else before we let you go?
Just buy the book. I mean, that's why I'm here. This is it. Get out, buy the book, buy multiple copies, buy them for your friends, and put Memphis, on top.
We love it. All right, Ace Atkins, we appreciate your time on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Thanks very much.
Thank you.